Hello everybody. Now the clock turned and it got 15 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon in Denmark and maybe some other times where you are. Welcome to this track, which we modestly and humble has called supporting your business. Just a few, let's see, the slide about how to get in contact with me and us while we're doing this. You can of course use the official method, but we have in this track allowed you to unmute yourself. So you feel free to unmute and pop a question or whatever, because when it comes to supporting your business, it's of course your opinion that's very important for us and to me. So with that said, I'll kick this off. As you probably understood from Hanno and Søren and the way we talked in the intro, one of the most important part for us in sales is the partners. We are a strictly channel-driven business. It's your business that gives us business. So we need to make you a success. And then hence it's very important for us to understand your business and to support your business. So how do we do that? Yeah, of course, it's very important for us to understand your business, as said. In this track, I've taken a slightly different approach than just asking you. I've asked you, many times, how can we support you? And yes, I got the part about lowering the price and the part about bringing more leads. But here I will try to put you into my head and to tell you how do I look at the world. How do I see the challenges for our end customers? How do I see your business and your challenges, and how we in Ucommerce then try to support it? So please forgive me and allow me to tell my version of the world and the market. And please jump in and let's have a discussion. I'm only telling you this so you understand how I see it, and then you can correct me and say, okay, it's not like that. This is not like how the world is. But let me try to show you this, and then we can have a debate. In the track afterwards, we'll bring in some partners to give us another view of this. But let's look at it. And here you see the agenda. I'll try to set the scene. I'll talk about the market. I then will talk about business drivers in the market from our end customers, and then how can that affect you and I and us working together. So this is a way that we tend to. It's just one view of the e-commerce market. It's just a kind of a view, as I said, that we tend to use when we're talking about e-commerce market. And we see this divided into several different layers and you can see in the lower left corner you have the very small solutions. These can be prototypes, these can be very small businesses, mom and pops, shops, and in that area you see a lot of those take it down from the shelf, template-based solution, Shopify, the Magento kind of solutions. You may see a very limited assortment in products. You may see very few channels or only one channel. And on the other hand, this is mirrored, but this is supposed to be the top right-hand corner. You see the enterprise businesses, the big whales, where you have a mission critical, business critical solution that is very tailored to the specific business, who has very many advanced functions, who may have multiple channels, multiple languages, and you have all the the nice features and many products and so on. And that there might be variations in this. You can have a high revenue, but be only a very immature, have a very simple solution, maybe only sell a few products, or you can have a very high maturity, a very advanced solution, but doesn't necessarily have many products and don't have a great revenue. So people can be scattered all over this graph. In Ucommerce, we want to be in the middle, so to speak. We are quite aware that we will not be a solution that you only use for a prototype, or you only use when you only need a template-based solution. On the other hand, we probably are not. There probably is a limit for how enterprise-like we want to be, not in the size of solution, but more in how many advanced functionalities can we support. But in the middle, that's a nice place to be. That's where we'll try to focus, and of course we'll try to support this journey from starting low and getting more mature and getting more revenue and so on. It's for us, one of the important parts, or one of the big reasons for choosing Ucommerce is when you need to do your own solution, when you don't want a template, when you will have the shop's own look and feel, when you need to extend the solution, then we start to kick in. But let's have a look at what does it look like. And again, this is my opinion. This is my humble opinion about things. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Please tell me if this is not how it is in the real world. But I like this notion of let's put three things on top. And as I see it in the businesses today, the end customer we have, there's three major things that is of interest for a business. That is to increase the top line, get more money, get more sales. It's the customer experience. How does our customer experience our business? And then it is to do it more efficient. So if we dig into those, you can see that, sorry about that, let's take a small break. When you're looking at increasing the top line, and now we are talking about an e-commerce view. So this is of course a digital business, a digital channel. Maybe it's part of a broader picture of a bigger company, but we are looking at the e-commerce focus. When you're talking about increasing the top line, it's more sales. How do we generate more sales? One way is to increase the conversion rate. So make sure that all the customers we have in our shop or on a page, that they are converted into sales. And how can we otherwise work with the top line? Increasing or growing the assortment is one way of doing it, which we see very much for instance, in the retail space, going from brick and mortar into a digital shopping experience. Then you have much more store room or floor space in your shop because you have no limitation online. So you can grow the assortment. You can have put more products on the shelves for your customer to buy. You can then attract more customers, and if you have a good conversion rate, you get more sales. Another way to one of the other focus areas for a retailer or a B2B business online is how can we increase the customer experience. And when I talk about customer experience or increase it, I mean the satisfaction, the shopping experience that you have. How can we work with that? Because in reality, we want to. This taps into the conversion rates as well. If we supply a good customer satisfaction or customer experience, then there will be bigger conversion rate, and we can increase the retention. We can make sure that people come back to the solution. And now Mike just popped a question, and of course we want to bring that into the conversation. I agree these are commercial business drivers. What about sustainability? Yeah, I cannot agree more. It's of course sustainability is a very important part of modern business, and it's surely on the top of everybody's mind. I've chosen not to talk about that from a Ucommerce perspective because it's very difficult for us to put something in place there. But of course, there can be business model where you can easily support sustainability in e-commerce by letting people return their goods, making it easy for people to make sure that they can dispose the products they buy in a good way. There's also, I think, a concern for us who works with digital business, what is our own footprint in the environment? When you talk about when we just spin up another cloud server and just put a lot of sites out there, there's of course a carbon footprint of that we can be very humble and modest and say, okay, let's try to do our tools as efficient as possible so we don't spend all that computer power for it. I hope this answers your question, Mike. Otherwise, step in. Going back to the topics of business drivers, the last one I was put up here was reduce cost, because that's always an interest. And yeah, Mike, you will probably say that I'm very traditional in this view, but but this has always been something that people have talked about. In business that I've worked, in business that I served as clients, and everybody is talking about how can we do this is as efficient as possible. And that's of course something that also drives our customers also in the e-commerce business. Let's do it efficiently so that we can reduce cost. Looking a bit more to us, and by us I say you and Ucommerce, you, our partners, and us. What is really our mission then? I would claim that it's very important for us, or part of our mission is to try to support this business development and the journey for the end customers. When they are focused on top line, on customer experience, and on cost reduction, then we should try to focus on that and try to support them in that. And now I really are on thin ice, as we say in Danish, because now I'll try to tell you how you should look at the world. So please let me know if I'm off or wrong, or if you have any comments to this. But I think when we talk about, and now we get more and more close to our business, which is delivering commerce functionality for your solutions, the thing that I hear from you and that I sense from our ecosystem is that top of mind is a stable and reliable solution. You want to be sure that every time we install a Ucommerce solution and we build an e-commerce solution, that we have stable and reliable software underneath. Also, in tapping back into the business drivers, there's a need for scalable solutions. We need to be able to handle the traffic, because of course, when we do an e-commerce solution, it will be a success. There will be more customers, there will be happy customers, they will come back, there will be more and more traffic. And it's important that we have a scalable solution. It's also important that it's scalable in the sense of assortment, that we have more products, that we can have a better data quality. Now I have a background in master data management and product information management, and the data quality is really something that gives a good customer experience. There has been for years analysts that says that the more pictures you have on your product, the better conversion rates. So if our customers can see the quality or the data on the product, then they buy it more. If they know that this has 3 HDMI plugs and so on and so on. And in the end of the day, it must also scale in the back end or in the administration. It's not good enough that whenever we add 1,000 products, we must employ another back end or another administrator. It must scale in a way that we can, with a very limited staff, can grow our assortment and serve more customers without doing that. So we need efficient backend as well. On the support side, we will try to deliver, or we think that you as partners are looking for good support, and that is on the architecture, the technical support. It could also be on basic let's get those issues, let's get those tickets solved. And then of course also on the roadmap that you can influence and talk with the product team and get them to deliver the right things and develop whatever is needed and follow, and that we have a roadmap that follows the trends in the market. So this was your world. Now we come to my world, which is Ucommerce, and now I'm a bit more on the safe ground again, because this is how we see the world and how we try to deliver on this. And I know that you can put many words on Ucommerce and the platform and how we do things, but for me it's just to make it simple, it's just no nonsense. It's a commerce platform. Let's keep it that way. Yeah, I need to be careful now because the COVID police must not bring me down. So when we talk about evolving our partnership and supporting our partners and the partner business, we look at this from various angles and say, okay, for us it's important to have some themes in our roadmap that support the business. Okay, so go back again. What was important? Top line, scalability. So we need to put into our roadmap cloud solution, virtualization solution, so you can distribute the solution, just purely architecture and technical infrastructure, but there's support for the modern way of scaling the infrastructure. We are also looking, as Søren told you in the introduction, about to increase performance. I'm sure he's the man who knows, and he tells me that it's search-driven architecture, that's the way to go. But the important part for me is to make sure that we have the performance that is needed to grow the business. So we may put the solution into a small business or a subset of a business, but we are sure that it will perform also when the business grows. And same thing goes when we talk about the efficiency and the cost reduction. It's very important that we have a back office UI that's very efficient. So that's what we are trying with the Condo thing, is to make it as good as possible to administrate a big solution or huge amounts of data. And that also includes the last theme that I see when I talk to partners and end customers, and that I make sure that also the Søren and his team recognizes that there's a need for support of more complex data set, more complex products, many more products and so on, so that we can increase that customer satisfaction, that customer experience through the rich data set and the right data set on the products for many products. Thank you, Paul, for asking a little question. Is this also about Umbraco Cloud or just cloud in general? It's actually both. It's of course Umbraco Cloud is very important for us because we are very tied to Umbraco, as you probably know. But it's we cannot limit ourselves to only Umbraco Cloud, because we have a lot of solutions running on Azure or Google Cloud and whatever. So it's important for us to have a good answer for how to run in the cloud. Maybe even in years have a Ucommerce cloud that is hosted by another cloud or whatever. But we just need to be able to install or deliver our solution in the cloud. Okay, customer success is another key pillar for us in delivering the stuff for you. We need to be sure that we have built up the customer success team headed up by Morten. You know, he's a very skilled developer. he has some skilled team members in his team as well. That is, of course, able to do all the regular support stuff, the tickets, the issues, and stuff like that, but also are capable of doing real technical advisory. So that when you are in a position where you think, how can we do this, or could we do that, or how can we solve this problem we have with our clients, then we have the people that are skilled to give a real good best of breed or best practice advice on the technical issues. And then in the end of in Danish we have the saying, the rasen in the end of the sausage. Doesn't really make sense when you translate it to English, but it's in all humbleness, we have my team, who is the partner success team, where we try to equip you as best as possible with the right sales support. So whenever you need to discuss how can we position Ucommerce against this tool or that tool, then we will try to advise you. We will try to be as flexible and as speedy on issuing licenses, contract and license key and stuff like that. And in the end of the day, also connect you with our marketing team. So we have a very good co-marketing. We do case stories together, we do webinars together, and help you generate more leads so that you can be successful in your business. This is about it for my side. Now I'm very interested to learn what you think about this. Anyone wants to speak up so we can have a conversation? Unmute yourself and yell.
Yeah, I will speak up because I'm already with my head on the screen.
Hi, Paul. Good to see you again.
Hey, Gunnar. Well, I think it's a very good thing that you will focus on the mid-market because I see everybody focusing on enterprise or telling they want to go to enterprise.
Yeah.
There's so much business in mid-market, to be honest, as we call them, the local heroes. And I also think that really fits towards the Umbraco scene. It's growing as well. And we see more and more big companies moving towards Umbraco as well. So stepping out of the epi service, the side course and these kind of things, when you just go for CMS. So I think that's a great way to establish the right scene for Ucommerce. Don't overpromise, but also not go too deep. But I think starting at the end of the low and the beginning of the mid would be great. I think.
Yeah, I do agree, because we need to have the lower mid market become the upper mid market. We need to help them have success in their business as well. So I do agree with you.
Yeah,
really. And it's really, I think that the way that the others that you talk about, the side course and the epi servers and so on, the way that they have positioned themselves to say it politely during the last year or so has really opened up the market. And also I think I've also experienced that before, that you know, businesses, they're much more focused on just getting things done, just selecting the best of breed solution. So that's why I think tools like Ucommerce or Umbraco and Ucommerce are gaining in the market. So there's definitely a reason for the success of Umbraco.
Yeah, but because we're Umbraco and epi server, and it doesn't run on epi server, so we just use it for Umbraco.
Yeah.
But also with the cloud proposition, I was asking that because Umbraco is putting much emphasis on cloud and on ready to use cloud propositions like their I don't know if you've seen that one.
Yeah, sure, of course.
That's for the low market, but you could look at something like that in the future. But if you need some help on that, I'd be happy to help, as we're one of the few, I think, Umbraco cloud companies who really get in depth there. So happy to help.
Thank you very much. Of course, we want to work with you in the future, Paul. That's for sure. Anybody else have something to say? I think we are very close to ending this session. We have been strongly advised to keep time. So, more questions? Okay, then I think we will conclude it from here. Thank you very much. Do join our next business session as well. Let's hear what the guys from Vølund & Vraa and Novicel has to say. Please look in the chat, because Urte has published the link to get back to the webinar where we will continue on the next track. Okay, thank you very much.